Hello, my dear friends. Welcome to my channel or welcome back. My name is Sarita. So happy to see you today. And yes, oh yes, we have a big haul from Bath & Body Works, including the new Stranger Things candles and Fall Wave 2. So we're gonna have a little chat. I did bring some things home, but I also took some pictures and I'm prepared to talk about some other things. I was actually going to do the vintage Bath & Body Works candles today, and I woke up and I looked at my email, and the splashy email from Bath & Body Works says, come into the store for Stranger Things and for Fall 2 and a $13.95 candle sale as well, all at once. So the stars are aligned, right? They're aligned for you as well. And I thought to myself, you know what? I'm going to take the morning and I'm going to go to Bath & Body Works with my coffee, and I'm gonna go into work in the afternoon. So that's what I did. And I just wanted to go ahead and do this video because I know all of you are gonna be going to your stores after work if you've got it, etc. I forgot that these things were coming out, and or I just have been so busy, I haven't been keeping in touch. So it was kind of a nice little surprise for today. I am probably gonna start out with the Stranger Things trio, because I know a lot of you are tuning in for those Stranger Things candles, and then we will hit the other stuff. Does that sound like a good plan? So I've got my coffee here, and let's talk about it. So these Stranger Things candles, ooh, these lids get bad fingerprints. They look like this. So they do have a little bit of a texture to them, but they're all pretty dark candles. For my money, these are pretty cheap wraparounds and a pretty cheap aesthetic. So we are not talking anything as kind of cool as the aesthetic that was in the first wave, I think, of Stranger Things candles. But guess what? The price has remained the same. We're still at $29.95 for what is essentially a bad wraparound. And I apologize because I am not a Stranger Things watcher. So maybe this aesthetic references something that is in fact really, really important and special. And of course, I'm just not getting, I mean, I get that this is the Demogorgon, like it's got, I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly, like it looks like that. But just an aesthetic in general, I just don't think it's quite as thoughtful or evocative as that first wave. So there's that. What I am happy about is that these are darker fragrances, which is not only my thing. So no gourmands here. If you're a gourmand fan, you're not going to be happy. So these are a little bit darker, but that also works well for like the Halloween vibe. So I am happy with that, and I think it's seasonal in that it's coming right after the Halloween launch. There's a pretty obvious repackage here. It's a repackage of a candle that was brand new last year. And I can't speak to the others about whether or not they are repackages or not. But given that there's one in this collection that is very obviously a repackage. I mean, I didn't even have to look at the notes. I just smelled it and I was like, yes, this is what it is. Given that apparently they don't care, Netflix doesn't care that they're giving us a repackage. Since that is what we're doing, this is where we are right now, I am more confident that Hopper's Coffee is in fact just a repackage of freshly brewed coffee. To my nose, they smell almost exactly the same. I mean, I'm not even detecting a whole lot of nuance of a difference between the two. And I hesitated when the Hopper's Coffee, I mean, I said when I hauled it, I do think this is freshly brewed coffee, but I thought to myself, they wouldn't just repackage something that is literally already on the floor and charge us an extra $3 and $3 or $4 and put Netflix branding on it. Like Netflix wouldn't be okay with that. Like that's really phoned in, right? So I hesitated and I was like, it is freshly brewed coffee. It might be a little bit different. I mean, I've burned it, by the way, all the way down. This is gonna be in our vaunted coffee week that's coming up in September, so I'm not going to talk a whole lot about it, but between us, I've burned freshly brewed coffee before, and I think this is freshly brewed coffee. Spoiler alert, it did perform pretty well, and in fact, better than freshly brewed coffee did last year. I have not burned the new freshly brewed coffee here. Unfortunately, I think most stores are sold out of Hopper's coffee at this point, but if you were interested in freshly brewed coffee or disappointed with the burn, with the strength of either last year's iteration or this year's iteration, I would tell you, if you see the Hopper's coffee, pick it up, snap it up, because it performed really quite well, and I think it's just freshly brewed coffee. Okay, so let's talk about these new Stranger Things. Also, disclaimer, I should really wait and allow Kent from Candle Channel to do his thing. And I fully expect a video from him tonight or tomorrow. And I should have just waited because he's far more expert than I am in the history of these candles and of Bath & Body Works' collection, what they've repackaged, what they've not, with the MLN list or whatever that he's always so upset about, how it went away, the ILNs or whatever, so then he can tell us for sure whether it's a repackage. By the way, the ILN or whatever it is, that list went away shortly before the Bridgerton collection because I think they're doing some repackaged stuff and they don't want Netflix to know. But for those of us who know the candles in Bath & Body Works collection, at least for the recent couple years, it's pretty obvious that at least one of these is a repackage. I don't need any ILN, MLN list to be able to tell you that. Okay, but anyway, close parentheses. When I watch Kent, especially for some of these fall candles, I'm a little confused about which one of these have been repackaged or are returning favorites. And have you noticed that the signage has become very vague at Bath & Body Works? So now when you go to the website, it used to be, it would say new fragrance. Now it doesn't say that. When they do a new collection, they're just just added, exclamation point. You don't know, is this a new fragrance? Is it not a new fragrance? They're starting to be pretty coy about that. I don't know if you've noticed. I asked one of the store associates though, so how many of these are new? She identified a couple that she thought were new, but to be honest, she's no more knowledgeable than I am, probably a little bit less. So I don't know if she's correct. Kent will be able to tell us on those. So I apologize. I am not going to be the expert opinion. There are a couple that I can tell you have big similarities, but especially with these fairly generic pumpkin spice candles, or apple candles. I'm not sure, have we seen this before? I tried to Google to make sure that we hadn't seen it before, but then again, it could be a repackage or something. Okay, so let's talk about Stranger Things. Let's start out with this one. This is the Demogorgon. I'm pretty sure that it's pronounced Demogorgon. Oh, look, there's a picture of this Demogorgon, which of course my thing is not going to focus, but he's a scary guy with this head that looks like a scary flower. Yeah. And then these scary flowers are around the candle. Yeah. I feel like I tried to watch season 1. Maybe I watched more than that because I watch so much TV. I watch it indiscriminately. When somebody, I think it was Philly Candleman, was talking about a season where everybody was in the mall, something triggered and I'm wait, I think I did watch a season of something where kids were in a mall, like a vintage mall. So maybe I did watch further than the first season because I was bored and there was nothing else to watch. I can tell you for sure, though, I did not watch it carefully. It was background kind of TV. I just can't get into this show. I don't know what's wrong with me, so I apologize if Stranger Things is your show. Definitely did not make it far enough for this, so I do not know what the frame of reference is. So the notes on this one look right up my alley. Black orchid petals, spicy cedar wood, and dark patchouli. I'm there for that. I'm absolutely there for that. I'm not a huge floral person, but I don't mind a really dark floral with patchouli and wood. That sounds fantastic. What a bait and switch. Ugh. I just don't like this candle at all. I'm definitely going to be returning this one at some point, unless I start hearing reports from people that it transforms upon being burned and is actually a fantastic candle, in which case I will give it a second thought. I may burn it up. So for me, the dominant note here is just cinnamon. And cinnamon isn't even listed. And friends, it's real close to a red hot cinnamon. Have I smelled worse red hot cinnamon candles? Yes. It's kind of a soft red hot cinnamon, if you will. But I'm having trouble smelling anything beyond that like red hot cinnamon note. It's not a particularly strong candle either, which is kind of like the worst of both worlds. Because at least if you're going to have a red hot cinnamon candle, it should be firing up in the 8 or 9 range, right? This candle is not. Of all three of them, it's the shyest in terms of on cold experience. So bizarre. And here's why it's even more bizarre. Is that the sales associate I was talking to was like, oh, I kind of like that fragrance. And I smelled it and I was like, I do not. And she kind of smiled. And I was like, smell this. Doesn't this smell like cinnamon? And she was like, yeah, you're right. It does. Because she was kind of like, but I like the patchouli in it. And I was like, I'm not smelling any patchouli. I'm just smelling cinnamon. And she smelled it for a second. She was like, oh, you're right. She's like, you know what I smelled though and I liked is the body care. So then she walked over and she got the body care of this Demogorgon because yes, there's flankers across the board for all three. And it was like the soap, the hand soap or whatever. And she opened it and she's like, smell this. And I smelled it and it smelled like almost completely different than this candle. Like I wasn't getting any cinnamon from the hand soap, none. And then I was getting something, I mean, yes, it was vague. Yes, it was weak, but I was getting something a little bit more interesting. It's not a bassy fragrance. So I don't know where they're getting off with the cedar wood and the patchouli, because a candle with cedar wood and patchouli should be bassy, and it is not a bassy fragrance, either in the candle or in the body care. Black orchid petals would also imply that it's a floral, but it's a deep, heavy floral. Again, that body care was not deep. It was not heavy. Yes, there was a sweetness about it and maybe a vague floralness, but it was sitting high in the range, like at least a mid-range, if not a little bit higher. It was light. It was kind of fresh, which is exactly the opposite of what is being implied here, not only with the scent notes, but also with the aesthetic. I am so confused by this candle, like I cannot even. It's bizarre. It's bizarre, first of all, why the candles should smell significantly different than the body care. Caveat here, I did not smell all of the body care items. All I did was smell the hand soap that she brought up to me. She was like, I liked this. I'm like, yeah, I kind of like that too. If I could smell it, I mean, it's fine. It's pleasing. It's kind of interesting. It's sweet. It's fresh, kind of in a generic way. Is it like changing my life? No. Would I be interested in bringing a candle home like this? Probably not, unless it was firing a lot stronger, but it sure ain't this candle. I just, maybe, I don't know, is this like a weird one-off? Like, I don't get it. It does say spicy cedar wood. So I guess maybe that's why they like smuggled in that red hot cinnamon as the spicy, but I'm having a hard time even picking up the wood. Yeah, there probably is some like vague wood nuance underneath it, but you know how a red hot cinnamon is. It's kind of a leading lady and it doesn't love sharing the spotlight, you know? I'm so confused. So it's a no for me. If you haven't been guessing already, it's a no. It's a no, and I don't know what this is. But like I said, I'm not a red hot cinnamon person. If you are, maybe you'll kind of like it because it is a little bit more softer and more palatable than most red hot cinnamon candles. So bizarre. Okay, the other two are not as bizarre, and they're not a bait and switch. So let's talk about, we'll leave the repackage for the third one here. Let's talk about this one, which I think is the best in the collection, with some caveats. And the reason I'm going to say that it's best is not because it's a better fragrance than this one right here, this Upside Down, which is obviously a repackage. But I'm just going to give the nod to Eddie's Leather Jacket because I think it might be a new fragrance. And I'm pretty sure that Upside Down is not a new fragrance. So here is Eddie's Leather Jacket, and it's got this like electric guitar. It's a little bit textured. It says Hellfire Club. And it's kind of textured like a leather jacket, although it's very similar to the texturing here on Hopper's Coffee. Anyway, it's fine. Look at all those fingerprints. This like lid is just made for fingerprints. Okay, all three of them. They're like a gunmetal, which looks fine. It's a little bit phoned in. I think they should have had cooler lids at a $29.95 price point. Like, come on. I mean, if you're gonna give us like a fancy maple lid for some of these other candles on the floor that are like $26.95, I think the very least you can do is give us some sort of pattern. Even if they just like put Stranger Things, like stamp the Stranger Things logo on the top. Like, come on. You're charging us $30. This is a cheap wraparound. Okay, that's over. That's over. Eddie's Leather Jacket is pretty much exactly what you would expect from a fragrance called Eddie's Leather Jacket. The notes here are black leather, soft musk, and smoked suede. So musk, suede leather, and black leather. Leather, musk. You know it's going to be heavy. You know it's going to be masculine, etc. And it is. It is. It's a bit cliched. It's a bit cliched. I'm not gonna lie. It's a men's cologne. It could pass as any one of Bath & Body Works men's colognes, in which case I wonder if it's one that we have seen before, or in fact do still have on the floor. I kind of went and checked. I mean, it's similar to Noir, for instance. It's a little bit similar to even the bourbon one that's on the floor right now, but it's pretty leathery. It's pretty leathery. I do think there's some patchouli in here too. And I've talked about this before. Sometimes patchouli and leather, vetiver, 6 or half dozen, they can all three kind of come across very similarly and can be passed off as each other. But there is like a funky herbal dimension here, which makes me think at least patchouli, if not vetiver. Yeah, one of those. But I do think that there's a very like pronounced leather note as well. So it's both. And the funky herbal thing here is a little tiny bit spicy, as in those incense kind of spicinesses, which again could be a patchouli and or a vetiver. It doesn't go as spicy as like midnight cocktails, but it's kind of in that realm. It's deep, it's dark, it's heavy. But it works given the fragrance that it is. I mean, it's just a very unabashed leather musk spice men's cologne. And for how heavy it is, it's actually fairly palatable. But even I am kind of like, this is a lot to burn. This is a very deep, dark, heavy men's cologne. It just is. And I don't know that, although my tastes do lean masculine, I don't know that I love straight up men's colognes. And I don't know that I love like really heavy men's colognes. This is not quite full-blown cliche, but it's awfully close, especially given how men's body care products have been elevated over the last few years. Yeah. There was one other thing I wanted to say. Oh, here's what I wanted to say is too. Another thing that they could have done, this may very well be a new fragrance. I mean, if it is, it's still, you know, very similar to any of the, also those like boozy cocktail collections that they've been putting out over the last 2 years that often have a very heavy, like masculine cologne kind of dimension to them. Although this does not have a boozy note in it. It's truly a straight up like leather vetiver patchouli. And there's a sweetness, and it's the sweetness that you would associate from like a sweet patchouli, a sweet vetiver, even a little bit higher up in the range, to be honest. But with all of the leather and musk notes, it's just kind of, you know, keeping the fragrance like weighted, anchored all the way down into the range. Another one that they could have done here if they were going to do the repackage game is the candle that came out earlier this year, that I don't know, number 39, 42, whatever it was. The one with the cinnamon and the cream and the leather. That one was actually much more mainline than this one is. And given that people are coming into the store who may not otherwise to buy these candles, and given the Netflix branding, if they wanted to keep their fragrances a little bit more mainline, I actually would have considered repackaging that instead of this one, because I just think that a lot more people would like it. I mean, unless you're like a hardcore men's cologne kind of person, I don't think you're gonna like this candle. Whereas that you know, sweet cream cinnamon vintage vinyl kind of candle was actually much more in the genre of what I call a gateway masculine, in the same realm as like coffee and whiskey, for instance, that a lot of other people might be able to get behind, even though they wouldn't necessarily go super dark masculine. That said, I think this matches the marketing well. I think this, like, it's conceptually, it fits the collection. And they really just went for it. They really just gave us like a really, really standard traditional men's cologne that's actually, I was going to mention too, my nose could be playing tricks on me, but I think there's a smokiness to this candle too. It could just be that like my brain goes there with like patchouli and vetiver, and I'm automatically thinking smoke because of like Halloween candles, etc. But I think there is a little smoke nuance here. So this is all of those things. All of those things. And if those things are your things, I think you're gonna like this candle. Also, it goes a little bit Halloween for me because of the strong like patchouli with some spices, with some smoke, etc. So don't get me wrong, it is like a personal fragrance, but it's got enough of the patchouli vetiver leather situation with some smoke overtones for it to be a nice conceptual like Halloween kind of candle too. So I will probably burn this one unless I start hearing really bad reviews about it. But I would say for me, this is a little bit too broadly drawn as a fragrance and a little bit too cliched for me as a fragrance. That said, I would keep this one over that Demogorgon mess. All right, let's talk about the obvious repackage here, which is the Upside Down. And it's got this kind of like blue-red ombre. And I don't know, the blue and red probably have some significance, but to those of us who don't watch the show, there's none. So we're just kind of like, okay, weird. Some like funky texture here and some tree branches, but otherwise we have no idea what's going on. So fine. The Upside Down is fragrance notes, mossy stone, smoky birch tree, and eerie fog. Do you know what it is? Do you know what it is from the notes? It's fall forest. It's fall forest, folks. It's this one right here. I'm pretty sure. Now, when I smell them in tandem, there are some like little differences. So weirdly, so the notes on fall forest, this is from last year. The notes on fall forest are forest pine needles, woodland moss, and chilly fall air. So eerie fog, chilly fall air, woodland moss, mossy stone, 6 or half dozen. Now we have 2 different trees though, pine needles and smoky birch. So here's the thing. This one is supposed to be smoky birch. It's not. It's not. Again, a little bit on the odd side. It's pretty much straight up a balsam or a spruce. Yeah. And it's sweet and it almost has a fruity finish on it. So this one actually does smell more Christmassy, and I think a lot of people are going to be like, it's Christmassy. Yes, there are some deeper elements that could be moss, that could be musk, but that spruce and balsam is right up in there. This is a better candle, this Fall Forest. And actually, now that I'm smelling them together, maybe they're not repackages. Okay, hold. This one is just so much superior. Okay, now that I'm smelling them together, hold the phone. It is not a repackage of Fall Forest. It looks like it in terms of the notes, and immediately when I smelled it, that's what I thought it was. But then when I pulled it out, this one is so much mossier. And while it is a coniferous tree, it could be pine, it could be spruce, but it's not bright, it's not high, and it's not fruity. Guys, this is almost a repackage of Goldenberry Mistletoe. Do you remember Goldenberry Mistletoe from last year too? It was the one that came out at Christmas time, and it was the fruity spruce candle. And I think they tried to pass it off as like pear or something, but it really kind of smelled more like citrusy. Yeah. I remember I said it was kind of like if Bath and Body Works did Capri Blue Volcano, but in their style. So not as a dupe, but as a like inspired by. I told you it was kind of like Mariah Carey, like, it's Christmas, you know. Okay, so funny. So funny. Okay, so we're capturing this live. I have decided that it is not a repackage of Fall Forest. It is instead a closer repackage of Goldenberry Mistletoe. Yeah. And I'm sorry I don't have a Goldenberry Mistletoe here to compare it to. This is a much brighter, higher candle. And because it's brighter, higher, fruitier, I'm like not even getting to what they're saying is foggy or mossy. I would not say this is a birch tree either. Birch has a very deep, musky, almost a leather-like smell to it. This is not a birch. I mean, this is just straight up a spruce or a balsam. So another weird one. Another weird one. And I would just ignore the mossy stone and eerie fog. Oh, this is so good. This is so good. Fall Forest. This should have come out. I mean, this is a true outdoorsy candle. It's not a body care candle. It's not a perfume. It's not a cologne. I mean, it's a true outdoorsy candle. And it smells a little bit better on cold than it does burned. On burned, it goes a little bit more cliche green aloe than I kind of want it to be. Also, it also has that mossiness to it. So it's a little bit on the odd side, but oh my gosh. That was fantastic. It's nuanced, it's sophisticated, it's outdoorsy. This you really do smell the moss, and this you really do smell. Oh, that's good. Actually, when I smell deep, I'm actually even getting a little bit of vanilla in here. So after I just said it wasn't a body care. But it's just so, oh, it's so fantastic. I think this is Goldenberry Mistletoe. So I was right about it being a repackage, I think, but I think it's Goldenberry Mistletoe. And the notes are just super misleading. If it's Goldenberry Mistletoe performed very well. very well. It was really strong and it was cool. But if you're looking for a Halloween kind of vibe here, you're not going to get that. This is more of a Christmas vibe with that high fruity spruce. Yeah, kind of a citrusy spruce. That's Christmas, not Halloween. So bizarre, bizarre. Okay, so now we've got 3 bizarre candles. Well, the only one that's really not bizarre is this one. So I really think that this is the standout just because I think it's executed in a familiar and appropriate way. The notes are not misleading. It is what it is, and it's spooky, which is what they were going for too. It's hard, it's masculine, it's spooky. It's a little generic, but like, okay, this one is definitely the standout. This one makes no sense, Goldenberry Mistletoe. It makes no sense in this collection, and it bears almost no resemblance to the scent notes. This one bears no resemblance to scent notes, and it's a red hot cinnamon. So I'm confused, and I think this is a disaster of a collection. I'll say it, and I'll go there. That said, if this is Goldenberry Mistletoe, it's a great candle. I thought it was fantastic last year, and it kind of didn't get the buzz that it deserved. So, if you don't mind burning a candle that's frankly very Christmassy, this was a very good performing candle, and I can highly recommend it for what it is. It had an ugly ass label too, that Goldenberry Mistletoe. It's got an ugly one now too. Oh, I'm sorry. That fragrance has not, we've done dirty with that fragrance. Eddie's leather jacket is fine. Just make sure it's your vibe. Okay, let's switch over to some other little collections that they've got on the floor right now. So they've got this, first of all, they have a big body care push. They have 3 fragrances they're pushing for body care, and those are Honey Wildflower, Together Weather, and Sunrise Woods. So Sunrise Woods we've definitely seen before. It is what it is. Honey Wildflower looks like this. So here's Honey Wildflower, and it comes in a candle. It comes in all the different things. Honey Wildflower, the notes on it are crisp pear, fresh wildflowers, and sweet honey. It was kind of generic body care smelling, so I didn't pick it up, but it's nice enough. It's a warm kind of body care fragrance, but you know, it's got that cliched like Bath & Body Works body care kind of vibe to it, which is understandable given that this mini collection is all about body care primarily. Together Weather was kind of interesting, and to be honest, I put it in my cart and walked around with it for a long time, and then I'm like, what are you doing? Like, do you really want this candle? So here's Together Weather. I think Together Weather is new, and I could be wrong. I think Together Weather and Honey Wildflower are new, but again, who knows? Kent will be able to tell us. So Together Weather, the notes on this one are blushing breeze, sugared cardamom, and soft cedar. And the fragrance really smells nothing like any of those. So on paper, it looks like something I would like because you've got like an ozone, you've got a sugared spice, and you've got a cedar. You would expect something a little bit richer, a little bit at least unisexual, if not a little bit darker smelling. No. Like, I'm almost convinced that these notes are a mistake. By the way, on the website now where it's like, smells like, : now they've started giving you some like fancy conceptual thing that has nothing to do with the fragrance. They'll be like, smells like, you know, clouds and like blah blah blah, and you're just like, whatever. Anyway, this one says smells like quality time with your favorite person. So whatever that smells like, that's what this candle, it's such bullshit. All right, so for me, this candle, it made me smile the minute I opened up the lid. I don't know what it is about this candle. I just really was attracted to it. It's pretty high. It's a mid-high kind of candle. It's sweet, but it also has some musky dimensions to it, I think. And I wrote down, it smells like a sweet musky baby powder. So it actually smells like baby powder. It's pretty powdery and it's pretty like baby powder. And I usually don't like those kinds of candles, but for some reason this one was kind of intoxicating. And I know that sounds really off-putting how it smells like baby powder, but like it smells like it in a really good way. Like it's sweet and it's musky and it's really good, maybe vaguely fruity. I don't know. I had a really hard time describing this in my mind. The only thing that I could latch onto was that it definitely was baby powder combined with a lot of other things that just made it sophisticated, or maybe not sophisticated, but at least fun and sparkling and like intoxicating in a really weird way. So like I said, I walked around with it for a while. Who knows? In a weak moment, I may pick it up again, especially if I hear like good reports from people, if they burn it and, you know, whatever. I mean, I would never like use it as body care because it's just not my personal fragrance vibe, but I just really liked the fragrance a lot and I kind of wanted to burn it. I thought it was more intriguing than like, don't hate me, Kent, Gingham Glow. I don't know. Yeah. I thought it was intriguing. I thought it was really interesting. I thought it was a point of view. I don't know what point of view it is, but it's a point of view. I'm not getting any of this breeze, cardamom, cedar stuff though. Absolutely none. None. So somebody explained to me how those notes go with that, but I thought it was interesting. Also off to the side, not with a candle though, was body care called Autumn Drive. So the display kind of looked like this, and I think it's new. Again, question mark. I kind of liked it. I thought it was nice. So Autumn Drive, and I actually put on some of the lotion and was smelling it on the way home. It's not my kind of fragrance, but I kind of enjoyed it. It's a raspberry scent that's a little bit on the darker side. And if you've watched my channel for some time, you know that I love a deep, dark, jammy fruit in the fall, which I think is an underused like category for a lot of candle companies. So I'm looking at you like Voluspa Santiago Huckleberry, one of my favorites in this genre. Village has a really great one that goes under like the name Sugar Plum and also something in the forest. I don't know, but it's like a plum candle that's really deep, spicy, jammy, musky. Figs, plums, currants, but also like raspberry can go there. It can go deep. Huckleberry, blackberry. These are the kinds of fruits that I want to see more of with like a walnut or something like that, you know? Chestnuts. These are the things that I love going into deep fall, which is like pumpkins. You know what I mean? Like I get it. September is apple, like central. Apple central is great. But I do think that underused is these darker, deeper, jammier fruits that would also be fantastic in this season. These fruits are also versatile because if you lighten them up and you add them with something, you either leave them very authentic, high in the range botanical, or you add them with some sort of like ozone or floral, you can market them for spring, right? But they go so well with spiciness, with jamminess, with nuts. I mean, it like in a woodland kind of way, so fall. Anyway, I wouldn't say that this driving thing is that special. I mean, it's a generic body care item from Bath & Body Works, don't get me wrong. But I liked it, and I like seeing a raspberry that's a little musky for the fall season. I think it's somewhat unexpected for Bath & Body Works. I like it. It smelled good. I think a lot of people are gonna like it. So I just wanted to raise that. All right, then we have a mini collection that has like still life. So here's one of them. This is Farmhouse Pumpkin and Spice, and it's like a still life kind of painting. Some of them look a little more photorealistic. So here's Mahogany Vanilla, for instance. I don't know what I think about this aesthetic. I really don't. I'm kind of on the fence. I think it's fine. I think it's fine, and I think it's classy on a certain level. I just don't know that I like it. I don't know, it's just me personally. I don't know, it seems a little busy to me, and it could just be that the way that they put the name of the thing with the font and the white, it's not popping, and it just makes the whole thing look a little bit busy, kind of as if the name and the label here is like competing with the other aspects. I think that might be it. Maybe they could have blocked it off a little bit, made it gold. I don't know. I do like the taupe lids though. I think that those are really nice. So anyway, so I think there are a couple new candles. Obviously Mahogany Vanilla is not one of them. I bought the two that I think are new, question mark. So, I have this one, which is Farmhouse Pumpkin and Spice. I looked online, I wasn't finding anything about this. I think this is a new candle, Farmhouse Pumpkin and Spice. So the bottom says heirloom pumpkin, patchouli, and fall spices. So we've got a pumpkin patchouli. Oh, I should have gotten my pumpkin patchouli candle out to compare, but I do have one other one that is very close to compare. So I like this. I like it. It's mostly a pumpkin spice, and it sits very much in the mid-range, even a brighter mid-range, to be honest. It's not necessarily a basey candle, although there is some kind of like musky elements down below that could be patchouli, but it's pretty soft. I should have gotten out my pumpkin patchouli candle to compare, but if I can remember it, Spice Pumpkin Patchouli, although very similar, is basier, and the patchouli note is more pronounced than in here. So this could be a gateway Spice Pumpkin and Patchouli if patchouli just really kind of still freaks you out, and that Spice Pumpkin Patchouli is a little too much, then I think you would really like this, because it really foregrounds the pumpkin spice and backgrounds the musk patchouli, but it's rich. It's a rich pumpkin spice. And I love that, because not only is it my vibe, I like rich, deep, dark, musky kind of pumpkins, but also I think really Bath & Body Works, and maybe they always have, but I was thinking about this because when I was thinking about the Yankee Candle, and I just did that Yankee Candle haul, whereas Yankee Candle seems to be fixated on like ruining the two pumpkin spice candles that they do have, that have long standing and very well loved. Bath & Body Works is giving us a lot of really good pumpkin fragrances. And they have over the years, but they've gotten better and better at giving us really good pumpkin spice fragrances. Like really good. Yeah, they've got their pumpkin spice latte and, you know, that kind of thing. Which is not good at all in my opinion. Then they have other ones that they say pumpkin, but they don't really have pumpkin in them, i.e. white pumpkin, even like pumpkin and apple, you know what I mean? They've got a lot of fragrances. Even some of them have a very nice spice in them, but not really a great pumpkin note per se. But then they have like pumpkin bonfire and pumpkin carving. This one has so much spice in it that I'm not sure how much pumpkin it has, but it could be a little squashy. It's got that creamy roasted dimension. Yeah, it's really good. So when I smelled this originally, I thought to myself, this actually smells a lot like pumpkin bonfire. So I got my pumpkin bonfire, and they are similar. This is superior in my opinion. Oh, this one's firing in more of a stereophonic way. So not only is it hitting that mid-range, but it's also a little bit brighter and a little bit bassier. It's really firing on a lot of levels, more levels than that other one. Oh my gosh, this is good. This one is bassier and smokier. This one, I don't think this one has any smoke in it, and it's not as bassy. It's brighter, like on a certain level, because the majority of their pumpkin spice is just kind of a bright pumpkin spice, so there's that. Whereas Pumpkin Bonfire, the center of gravity is lower, and then it has some like punctuated bright notes on top that are kind of like caramel or vanilla. Oh man, Pumpkin Bonfire is good. However, If Pumpkin Bonfire is a little bit too smoky or a little bit too deep, a little too bassy for you, this would also be a really good one. So I'm gonna call this, if it is new, I think it's like the baby sister of both Pumpkin Bonfire and Spiced Pumpkin Patchouli, which are fantastic candles. A little bit brighter, a little bit more linear, and a little bit more straightforward, standard pumpkin spice. And I think it's for those people who really kind of want to like the Pumpkin Bonfire and the Spiced Pumpkin and Patchouli, but it's a little too much something. You know what I mean? Little too dark, etc. This one is going to be a little bit more mainline. I like it though. I think it's great. It's not, it doesn't duplicate Pumpkin Bonfire or Spiced Pumpkin and Patchouli, although it's very similar. And I think it's fantastic because those two are fantastic candles for them. And so obviously they want to hew close to that formula they have with this one. And I think it gives you something a little bit more mainline, but definitely in those two categories. And then this one I think is new too, this whipped honey and vanilla. I may take this one back. So this one is, it's very creamy. It's very white. I think there's a great deal of tonka. To me, it feels very tonka creamy. Maybe even sandalwoody creamy. Tonka, sandalwood, and floral actually. And it says it's fresh vanilla, golden honey, and blossoming neroli. It's got neroli in it. So this is, actually, I exchanged my Gingham Glow, so I can't compare it. Ken, you're gonna have to compare this. I think this is awfully similar to Gingham Glow in that it's got that neroli note, but it's a little bit bassier. If I can remember correctly, Gingham Glow though is a lot more overtly floral than this one is. Whereas this one has the floral note, but it also adds like a creamy sandalwood tonka dimension. And that creamy sandalwood tonka dimension is stronger and louder, even than the neroli, to be honest. It kind of has a neroli finish, we'll put it that way. Whereas Gingham Glow was like straight up neroli with kind of a creamy tonka musky finish. So it's like the candle in reverse from Gingham Glow. I'm really talking off the cuff. And I don't have Gingham Glow here to compare, but from memory, that's what it seems like to me. This is like Gingham Glow inverted. So it's mainly cream. I'm not getting any honey per se, so I think that that's just kind of a fantasy personally. By the way, if you like this, although it's not identified as body care, the, you know that like, I don't know, Organic Naturals line with the water and the air and the whatever, they have a new like limited edition fragrance in that collection. I took a picture, here's a picture of the display. It's called Honeycomb. And I believe the notes are very similar to this. And when I smelled them in tandem, if you like this and you want it in body care, and it's frankly, with the amount of tonka, sandalwood, and neroli, it's kind of set up to be a body care item, but it doesn't have that like unmistakable cliche Bath and Body Works soapy body care kind of smell to it, which I really appreciate. So it's set up to be a fairly sophisticated body care, but it is body care. Anyway, I think at least it's very similar, that Honeycomb. So if you were interested in that, definitely check that out too, because it's brand new. I mean, it's a great transitional candle because not only in the marketing, because I think this is a honey apple kind of period here, August to September, but given that it's got that neroli note in it, it would be really good for end of August going into September. I'll probably keep it and I'll probably burn it relatively soon because of that transitional quality. So that's whipped honey and vanilla. I'm gonna be surprised if it has a good strength and throw, but may I be surprised, right? And then they had this collection here, which is like just random cutouts. You know, it's fine again, but It's a little bit of glossy texture, kind of weird. All right, so I think this is, again, this is pumpkin maple pumpkin. I think it's new, but I don't know. This is pumpkin spice, sweet maple syrup, and brown sugar. It's very straightforward. And yeah, it's a pretty heavy syrup kind of candle. There's a vague pumpkin spice quality to it for sure. But yeah, the notes actually are just dead on here. It's a little bit on the, oh man, it's so sweet. It's so sweet. And it is a little bit basier, as in brown sugar syrup. You know what I mean? And yeah, there is a maple note here. I would say that it's kind of more of a generic, like, log cabin Aunt Jemima kind of maple note. It doesn't smell processed per se, but I can't say that it smells like authentic either. Yeah, that's just an ooey gooey syrupy candle with some maple, with some pumpkin spice. I'll probably take this one back just because it's not my, it's too sweet for me. It's just too sweet. But I wanted to mention it because there could be people that really, really like this. It's caramelized and syrupy. Yeah, and a lot of people are going to find that exactly what they want. Super cozy. So yeah. There was also another little collection, and they were not full wraparounds. They look kind of phoned in to me, but apparently there are a couple new candles in this collection. So there's Autumn Chai. Here's what Autumn Chai looks like. The sales associate said that Autumn Chai had been out before in a wallflower, but not in a candle form. I don't know if that's the case, question mark. So the notes on Autumn Chai are cinnamon chai, French vanilla froth, and smooth caramel. So it's fine. It's fine. I mean, it's not something I absolutely had to bring home. The good news about this Autumn Chai candle is that it is fairly bold and fairly spicy. Spicier than like white pumpkin, for instance. And I am detecting an actual like cardamom clove note in there too, which is much more authentic to chai than a lot of candles that are passed off as chai. Various different companies. So it is spicier, but it's also sweeter than white pumpkin. It's got a ton of vanilla and a ton of caramel. And so they all kind of compete. It makes the fragrance seem a lot bolder than like white pumpkin, for instance. But for me, when I smelled white pumpkin actually felt more stripped down and more like an actual beverage, like admittedly a very milky chai, but a milky chai. Whereas the Autumn Chai candle just seemed to be so much vanilla and caramel that it kind of lost the authenticity of an actual chai beverage. Although, like I said, I do have to give high marks for at least them getting some of those spices correct in terms of chai. Then there was an apple crisp candle. Here's the apple crisp candle. I have a hard time believing that this is not a long-standing candle in their collection. But at the same time, I was having trouble finding it. So apple crisp is caramelized apple, cinnamon crumble, and sugared oats. It's a generic, if fairly bold, apple spice candle. It's an apple spice candle. I'm not getting a whole lot of crumble of any kind. And I know that you gourmandy folks are probably not gonna love that. So I'm just gonna put that out there. I wouldn't get it. And I think that there's a lot of good apple fragrances out there, even from Bath & Body Works, that I would choose over that. So that's that. And then the other one that may, question mark, be new is Fall Apple Cider, which looks like this. Fall Apple Cider, the notes are crisp red apple, caramel drizzle, and spiced cider. So this one did not smell like these notes to me. So instead of it being a crisp red apple, I was getting very green tart apple from this candle. Very little caramel. And actually kind of getting a plastic dimension to it too. And that may have just been the candle that I was smelling, a mistake of some kind, but I did not think that one was anything to write home about. And I liked, in terms of the green tart apple, I like the candy apple cauldron better. I think it's a much better candle. So there's that. So those three, but I don't know that any of them are that special. Yeah, that's what I've got for you guys. That and there may be other things that are new that I didn't see that weren't in my store. And I apologize if I have misidentified any of these as either new or not new. And I could be wrong about the repackage of Upside Down being goldenberry mistletoe. Smells an awful lot like it to me. Not fall forest, which is what I was originally thinking. Fall forest is actually much better and would have been a better candle to repackage as this, because this just smells like Christmas. Whereas fall forest actually has the deep mossy notes in it. Yeah, so I think that's a real mistake. But at the same time, it's an ugly ass package, so like, why do I care that it's not fall forest? I was hoping it was fall forest because then I was gonna burn it and keep my original fall forest in my like collection. But it's not fall forest. I'm pretty sure it's goldenberry mistletoe. Oh, sitting here I have 2 random Chesapeake Bay candles. I'll just tell you because I was at Target and they were on clearance. If you want, it looks right now, at least at my Target, that they're not selling the Chesapeake Bays like this anymore. Yikes. I think that was one of the better bets in terms of the Target candles, these Chesapeake Bays. No matter what you say about Chesapeake Bay candles. So I'm not loving that they're doing away with these, but I've always wanted one of these blue cedar figs, so I went ahead and got one of those, and I also got brown sugar chestnut, because I've always wanted one of those too. Could not find the Midnight Forest, which is so fantastic, but that's okay. I wanted these 2, and they're great for fall. So if you like these, or have never tried them and kind of want to, go to your local Target and see if they're there, because these black Chesapeake Bays, they lean musky, deeper, fall, cool weather, a little bit more masculine. So they're great for this season if you want to pick them up at a clearance price. All right, my friends, that's all I've got for you. Oh my gosh, look, I got a coupon. Should we open it up on camera? What did I get? $6 Wildflower. 25% off. 25 and a free body care gift up to $9.99. Blech. But you know what? This woman ahead of me in the register, she got this and she didn't want it. $11 3-wick. Yeah, they gave her this because she probably doesn't do candles. And like the associate at the register was like, don't you want a 3-wick candle for like fall? And she was like, I live in an apartment. I can't burn candles. Like, I just don't want it. And I'm like, I'll take it. Here's actual footage of what I looked like. This is one of my favorite gifts or GIFs or whatever it is from Cinderella, Disney Cinderella, and this is what I look like in most occasions. Anyway, this is what I look like at the register for sure. And she gave it to me, although the sales associate gave me this very dark look. I don't think she likes me very much. And it's true. I should have let her give it to somebody else who like doesn't usually buy a 3-wick candle, you know. It's $11, so it's not like that big of a deal. But, you know, it expires on September 29th, so I'll wait until there's not a sale and I have to get a candle and then I'll use it. So no big deal, right? All right, that's what I've got for you, my friends. It's a mixed bag. It's a lot of confusing candles and a lot of confusing notes that to me are like absolutely not, especially 2 of these Stranger Things candles. Like, I don't know what's going on. I really don't. I await the more expert opinion of Kent and various others because I can't even begin to understand. That just seems like a shit show to me. Like they really phoned this in, this second Stranger Things situation. God bless. Thank you so much for joining me. I will do the vintage Bath & Body Works haul soon. And I've got some candle reviews as well that I've got to get through. Because while I did buy a lot of fall candles here, I'm a seasonal burner. And so you're not going to see post-burn reviews of these for a bit. I mean, like last week I was burning the perfect summer. Because hello, it's mid-August. And it's still summer. You know what I mean? But fairly soon I will try to do the whipped honey and vanilla, like first week of September or something. These are the kinds of candles. The other day when I was talking about the Halloween displays, and I don't understand why Bath & Body Works does Halloween so soon, And then they're like candles that are more like, I don't know, like farmer's market, early fall kind of candles. They do after Halloween, which I don't understand, because chronologically, shouldn't these come first, right? Because chronologically, it's like the August to September's is when we're doing the honeys and the apples, you know, and the lighter stuff. That's when we do all of that. So why wouldn't they come out with that first and then do Halloween? I'm confused. The only thing I can think is that certain holidays are like very high profile, like Christmas or like Halloween, and they trump like a season like this. So it's like the retailer has to tell the consumer, we know Halloween's coming, you know? Like they have to like look like they've got their shit together, and then they go back to their regular broadcasting. You know what I mean? That's the only thing I can think, is that they need to signal to the consumer that we know that in like 7 months Christmas is coming. I personally don't need that, but I think a lot of consumers do. And the more that other retailers do that, it puts more pressure on all the retailers to do it. Otherwise, they look like they don't have their shit together because they haven't told us what they're doing for Halloween in April. You know what I mean? So that's the only thing that I can think. But these are actually far more seasonal, like fall candles for us. This whipped honey and vanilla, etc. Still not seeing Palo Santo pumpkin. So still very distressed about that. It is possible it is coming in a third fall wave, right? Because pumpkin is a little bit more of a deep fall kind of fragrance note. However, we have a ton of pumpkin candles on the floor right now, including pumpkin bonfire. And a pumpkin Palo Santo candle would actually be a great like early fall candle, because you're not going to need the smoke. You're not going to need all those different like patchouli and spices. Pumpkin Palo Santo could actually be a little bit of a lighter like pumpkin candle that you could market earlier in the season, like i.e. now. So I am not pleased with that. And my dear viewers, I do guarantee you that I will be calling the corporate office this year if it does not happen. I can't. I absolutely cannot. Surely they must know that Palo Santo fragrance is a cash cow. It's the new era. Bath and Body Works, call me. I'm already like the CEO of Palo Santo in my head, but I will be the Palo Santo CEO for you. Seriously. I will move back to Columbus, Ohio and be the CEO of Palo Santo. 1000%. My family lives there. I'm a Columbus girl. Come on. All right. With that plea out of the way, I will catch you guys very soon, either for a candle review or for that vintage Bath & Body Works haul. Let me know what you think about these candles when you go into the store this evening to smell them. And I'll catch you in the next one. Bye.